Did President Trump save college sports? Well, that's what he's calling the executive order out of the White House. They put out one on Thursday. Everybody's going to be talking about it on Monday. So I had to put together something here for Sunday before we go live. So let's dive into what this means, because I don't think it means what fans think it does. I love the press releases from all of the ADs and the coaches and the commissioners. But let's talk about the realness about what this executive order really means. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Think I'm pulling up to the channel. So as y'all know, I love talking about this stuff. This is very fascinating to me. The evolution of college football, the direction that we're going, what it all means, paying players, not playing players, all of that stuff. So when I looked at this order, I had a good amount of questions. It's probably about 3 points here we're going to talk about as to what this is and what it's not, but what it could be going forward. Let's dive right into that. First off, this is your executive order. So President Trump and the White House put this out, saving college sports. And there's a whole bunch of bullet points in these fact sheet is what they call it. Correct. Fact sheet. There's a lot of things in here. And so when I look at this, a lot of you probably wondering, all right, Jay, where are we going with this new change? And first and foremost, one thing we got to keep in mind here is that this is an executive order. This is not a law. So this is going to be challenged 100% by a substantial amount of lawyers. So this is going to just add to the flame of argument about this. But what this executive order does do is it creates conversation, and it's going to force portions of the executive branches to actually do something now. Granted, we have the Scores Act that's coming down the line that, is going through, if I'm correct, the Senate, the House did the Scores Act. The Senate is building their own act that they're trying to go into law that's going to have to be, seen by the House. So it's a lot of smorgasbord things going in the background about college sports. So this executive order to me is intriguing. So first and foremost, I think the one thing that jumped out to me here is the order prohibits third-party pay-for-play payments to collegiate athletes. That, to me, is literally what we already know. That changes nothing. That is literally what we know. Now, y'all may be saying, but Jay, this may be something to do with NIL. Nah, I don't think so. And let me explain what I mean by that. Collectives is what a lot of people are talking about. Like in here, they talk about how the Alston versus NCAA, how it, that allows for NIL and all of that, which a lot of people don't realize that Alston versus NCAA had nothing to do with NIL. What it had everything to do with, it was that the NCAA and the institutions violated federal antitrust laws by agreeing to limit each member's opportunity to compensate college athletes for educational related expenses. Had nothing to do with paying the players. It's more so costs related to study abroad programs, postgraduate scholarships, vocational schools, technology fees, etc. All that stuff that's connected to actual education. That's what the Alston versus NCAA covered. It didn't talk about NIL. But when the NCAA, when it went to the board, to the Supreme Court, my apologies, they pointed out a lot of stuff in that the NCAA was doing, not only wrong with this portion of it, but also that they were ridiculous in the way that they have this business model. Like Justice Kavanaugh ripped them like 3 or 4 shreds out of it. So as y'all know, his famous statement basically is that your business model can't be that you don't compensate players because the people that view your sports don't want you to compensate your players, your employees, or people involved with it. That's a paraphrase. I'll get you the exact quote, but he ripped them apart. That's how they got a 9-0 ruling in this one against the NCAA. But what the NCAA wants is antitrust protection. That's where this comes in for us on this fact sheet. But the funny thing is, in this executive order, they do not provide the NCAA with any type of antitrust exemption or protection. That to me is what's intriguing. Next thing that we're seeing, and this is where things are going forward in this, in my personal opinion, that one, NCAA, that it provides the order provides that any revenue sharing permitted between universities and collegiate athletes should be implemented in a manner that protects women's and non-revenue sports. We'll see what that looks like going forward, because no matter what, you still have the naysayers out there that are attacking women's sports regardless. So I don't know exactly how well this is going to be accepted. One of the things that people are going to point out that women's sports do not bring in revenue. So why should they get paid? Without failing to realize that's the reason why Title IX exists, is to make sure that women have the same opportunity as men do, especially when it comes to collegiate sports, even if they make money or not. And in a lot of schools, women's sports make a lot of money. Just understand that. But the Olympic sports are where we have the most questions, because contrary to popular belief, y'all don't be watching Olympic sports outside of the Olympics. Y'all don't. And that's unfortunate. I love Olympic sports, and I think that they're necessary in preparation for the actual Olympics. So we kind of need them. But a lot of fans, the casual, does not watch them. It's just too many sports on television. We've got other stuff that we want to watch and do, and other things pulling our attention. Football does a great job of it because it only gets you one day a week. 1 day for college for the most part. 1 day for NFL for the most part. I mean, you got your other supplemental days where it's only one game on. And yeah, we tune in. But for the most part, Saturdays and Sundays is for football. Only in the fall. It's also why I believe spring football isn't really being taken by the casual fan base as well. But I digress. Now, this is the last thing to me that makes me feel like this order has good legs going forward. Is one, the last point is the Secretary of Labor as well as the National Labor Relations Board have to clarify things in a timely manner. Same thing with the AG and Federal Trade Commission to take actions to protect student athletes' rights and safeguard long-term stability of collegiate athletes from endless, deliberating antitrust and other legal challenges. So those two things right there, to me, is where you're going to see something actually happen from this executive order. Those are going to protect and make things actually get done, because all we've been sitting here doing over the last few months is what? Deliberating over and over and over and over and over. No one's actually saying we're going to put pen to paper and get something started. Mainly because a lot of people, as they're putting this stuff together, they're feared that there's going to be more lawsuits. There's going to be things to go towards the House settlement to argue. Like the most recent thing, and this is the thing that makes me laugh, is that prohibiting of third-party pay for play or whatnot. Collectives are considered legitimate businesses. We just had a recent ruling where the College Sports Commission was declining all NIL-related endorsement deals with collectives, saying that they're not legitimate businesses. When in all actuality, collectives have morphed themselves when the settlement came down to be basically marketing agencies for these players to get NIL deals. So they have a legitimate business purpose now. Their job is to go help them with facilitating NIL deals. That's what majority of the collectives have basically morphed themselves into. And that was what kind of came through with that settlement. Like, it wasn't something written in the settlement, but that's what they basically were saying, is that schools are now allowed to help players facilitate NIL deals. That's the purpose now of your collectives, is really to help with that kind of stuff. Since that's a legitimate business, it's basically a marketing arm, they too can have clients that they use for marketing of said product to get more marketing deals for the rest of the players. That's kind of how that works. I know it's confusing. It's all over the place. But the thing and the point I'm having here is this third party pay for play, ain't no way to enforce that. Good luck. Tell me how. Good luck. And for the naysayers that will be in the comments and say, oh, NIL has ruined college football. It hasn't. It hasn't. Everything that you're seeing that's happening today in recruiting and all of that has been happening before NIL even came in. Kids flip. Kids go to school because of the coach. They go to the opportunity for, prestige. They go because they're paying them more money under the table. It has been going on in college football since the beginning of college football. The question is, how much of the rules are your school willing to break to do this? Remember, boosters were willing to break the law to pay a kid to come play at their school for bragging rights, not even for anything else that's logic. So keep that in mind when you say the NCAA has been ruined by NIL. This has been the same thing since day one. Transfer portals always existed, so don't get it twisted. That's always been there too. The bigger thing here, though, is, and this is why I can totally understand where fans are upset, is a lot of schools have taken the mindset of, we're going to focus on specific types of players more than we're going to actually focus on our own. And that's where the big problem lies. But I think that's also something that's going to be fixed. Let me know what y'all think. Hop in the comments. You want to hear your thoughts. Did President Trump save college sports? Nah. But he created the conversation, finally, that we need, and some movement that needs to be made so that we can get stuff done. I'm ready to see what these acts look like. I'll do a video to break those down. I need to do more of these. I actually miss doing this, talking about some of the back end stuff, because this is the stuff that intrigues me. Some of y'all like, some of y'all don't. I don't know. But we'll dive into that more and more over the next few days as things start coming down the line. Fall camp's about to hit, and me and Coop's about to go live. So hit the like, subscribe, and notification, and join us. And yeah, we'll talk soon.